Hello, we're going to talk a little bit about some exceptions and curiosities about the use of articles. You probably have already read the material that I have made available for you with the most common rules and usages for both definite and indefinite articles. So here we're just going to talk more about some specificities of their usage. Here we have a few cases of usage from articles, right? So, for example, we have the usage of the definite article the before names of people. This is possible when we are really specifying a very unique person, right? So, for example, oh, the Harry Kilgore you were referring to clearly isn't the Harry Kilgore I know. So it is that one, right? The functioning is that one, the only one, right? Other examples, I actually met the Brad Pitt, the movie star, right? The Brad Pitt, the movie star, like that one, the only one. You remember that we were having dinner with the Smiths on Friday, right? And the Medicis held power for a long time. The in front of names of family, it is a very common usage, thinking about the whole family, right? Then here we have on 12, we have two examples of using the indefinite article to talk about what normally would be an uncountable noun, right? So it's very common for people to say, would you like to go somewhere and have a cup of coffee? This is okay because you are quantifying cup, right? However, because of usage and because of the way that people have been speaking lately, it is very common to see people entering restaurants or bars and cafes and say, can I have a coffee or can I have two teas, right? So it is something very common. After dinner, he offered us a cheese from southern Italy, and she served a tea that she had found in a gourmet tea shop in Chicago. In both of these examples, even though cheese and tea are uncountable nouns, we use a cheese or a tea for specifying a specific one like that one. It's very similar to the examples on 7. And here on 16, we have 3 examples, right? Some guy came by and left this package for you. A guy came by and left this package for you. And some student or other is waiting to see you, right? So some guy or some student here, he gives the idea of like whoever, I don't care, right? It doesn't matter who it is. And then on B, when you use a guy, even though you don't know who it is, you are expressing the idea of neutrality. And then it is very common to not to use the definite or indefinite article when you are talking about something in the plural form that is very general. So here we have example, bullets were flying everywhere. The street was covered with leaves. Teachers want good materials, and tigers are dangerous. Meaning that if you don't use the article before, you are generalizing the whole group that you're talking. In the case, bullets, leaves, teachers, and tigers. Here are some geographical place names that take the, right? So certain countries, including those viewed as unions and federations, such as the United Kingdom, the United Arab Emirates, the United States, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Lakes that form a complex, for example, the Great Lakes, the Finger Lakes. However, the names of single lakes usually begin with lake and don't use any article, right? Like Lake Victoria, Lake Erie. When you're talking about mountain ranges, So you have the Himalayas, the Alps, the Andes, the Alpes Mountains, right? However, the names of single mountains usually begin with Mount and zero article, like Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Rainier, Mount Everest. However, of course, there's an exception, like, for example, the Matterhorn and the K2. Then when we're talking about chains of islands, it's very common to use the definite article. So the Philippines, the Canary Islands, the Solomon Islands, the Antilles. Ocean, seas, and gulfs, you use the. So the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Caribbean Sea, the Caspian Sea, and so on, so on. And also, geographically speaking, some straits, right? The Strait of Gibraltar, the Bering Strait. When you're talking about the deserts or plains or plateaus, peninsulas, you also use the. Rivers and canals, the Amazon River, the Rhine, the Grand Canal, and so on, so on. Terms of longitude and latitude, the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn, the equator, and then celestial bodies such as the sun, the moon. However, planets, other than the Earth, our planet, right? They're not used with article, with the definite articles. Venus, Saturn, Mercury. It's very interesting to notice that when you are working with these characteristics of using the definite article in front of some geographical names, you can even develop an interdisciplinary work with a geography teacher, or even working with content-based English teaching, which is to get them to practice the use of the, however, not really focusing on the use of the, but focusing on the geographical features and checking out how much they know, so that they can, little by little, also memorize what they're doing. Here there are some examples regarding the usage of the indefinite article in front of quantifiers such as little and few. So when I say Jake has few friends, it means really, really, really few. It's a negative way of saying Jake probably is an unhappy person. But then if I say Jake has a few friends, okay, it means great. You know, he's not alone. He has a few friends. And it's the same with the uncountable part. If I say Jake gets little money, really the salary or the pay that Jake gets is very, very, very little. It means can barely cover his expenses. But when you talk about Jake gets a little money, right? Even the intonation can change. It means, okay, a little money, fine. It's enough, right? I have brought the distribution of function word classes in conversation and in fiction, right? So if we look here, you're going to take a look and you're going to see that determiners, which are the category that we're working with, okay? They are usually more or less in the 40, 40 per million. Right, so 40,000 per million words. That's very frequent. And in fiction, this grows quite a lot. In the news, right, we have a lot of the usage of indefinite or definite articles. And so in academic prose. Here are some links for games, right? You can use these games with your students or with yourself for practicing and for having some fun, right? So thank you very much. I'll see you next time.